Books, a universe that has come to life since ancient times, which fascinates our world, words written one by one, bringing a new world into your world, a parallel able to change your destiny, to guide and to influence, bringing knowledge in your mind and soul. Join me, because today we will go through the top 10 books men should read. Obvious, the man who reads frequently has some advantage in front of a man who doesn't read at all, because the books gives you newfound knowledge and perspective about so much things in life. And we will start with a book that personally I found really interesting, because we live on a financial planet. And this kind of book will open so much your eyes, especially if you're in the entrepreneur area and you want to build a brand starting from scratch. The book's name is Shoe Dog, a memoir of creator of Nike, Phil Knight. It's a 400 pages book and was published in April of 2016. And if you struggle thinking that a dream can come true, then I recommend you this book. One of the best books I've read in the last year. You will discover how Phil Knight faced so many disapprovals before fulfilling his dream. The book focuses mainly on the trials and tribulations of the early years of Nike, Blue Ribbon at that time. This amazing book should not be missing from your shelf. Nothing in life is as important as you think it is, while you are thinking about it. The book was published 10 years ago in 2011 by Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Science Daniel Kahneman. Over 2 million copies sold, and was selected by the New York Times Book Reviews as one of the 10 best books of 2011. In his bestseller Thinking Fast and Slow, the famous psychologist Kahneman reveals where we can and cannot trust our intuitions, and how we can tap into benefits of slow thinking, because we function with two systems. System 1 and 2 are both active whenever we are awake. System 1 runs automatically and System 2 is normally in comfortable low effort mode, in which only a fraction of its capacity is engaged. System 1 constantly generates suggestions for System 2. Impressions, intuitions, intentions, and feelings. If endorsed by System 2, impressions and intuitions turns into beliefs, and impulses turn into voluntary actions. I do like Thinking Fast and Slow because it's a contemporary classic and in the same time an essential book that has changed the lives of so much readers. And I should say that this book contains some profoundly important concepts around how people take decisions in life. And that's why you as man, you should put this book in your shelf this year. The book was published in 1975 by the controversial novelist Norman Mailer, who published more than 30 books including novels, biographies, and the author of The Fight twice won the Pulitzer Prize. Boxing obsessed him and inspired some of his best writing, including The Fight. In October of 1974, there was a boxing match that became famous as Rumble in the Jungle in Kinshasa, Zaire, Democratic Republic of the Congo now. Match between George Foreman against challenger Muhammad Ali. Ali won by knockout, putting Foreman down just before the end of the 8th round. At that time, Ali had 32 years old and becomes the heavyweight champion of the world for the second time. 60,000 people saw that fight in the arena, and it had a global audience of 1 billion people. What makes The Fight to be such a great book are the details surprised by the author, who also once practiced boxing. In the book, you will find a lot of background of the fight. The author spends some time in Africa and he learned about African people and about politics from that time. He also gets into Ali's entourage, giving him the privilege to put details in the book that were not seen on TV. The book was written by Robin Sharma, the author of The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, one of the most in-demand keynote speakers in the world, and is a mind-changing book in every aspect. Few might be feeling that this book will contain a set of rules or tactics which you can practice or teach yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. In fact, it's a book telling a story of 4 main characters. "5 a.m. Club" is about breaking bad habits and implement something new. It's also about how to stop procrastinating, going in that state of mind, I will do it tomorrow. That's why when you feel like quitting, is the time you must commit to continue. The book is also about how to find balance in life and how important it is to have a sleep schedule. The history of India begins with the birth of the Indus Valley civilization, more precisely known as Harappan civilization. And when I think about India, first things that comes in my mind are Mumbai, Ganges, Hindu, and Taj Mahal. India, color, a lot of color and spicy food. The home of one of the world's oldest and most influential civilizations. From this lovely land comes the 5th book, Incarnations, India in 50 Lives, written by Professor of Politics and History Sunil Kilnani, the ex-presenter of a BBC Radio 4 series with the same name as the book. A historical journey from ancient India to the 21st century, starting with Buddha, the meditator, the spiritual teacher, and the religious leader. The book brings the life of the Ethiopian who arrived in India as a slave, but rose to become a kingmaker, known as Malik Ambar. You will find who was Shivaji, the Indian ruler of Maratha clan, the symbol of regional pride and identity. In the book you will discover how the European William Jones, judge of the Bengal Supreme Court, with his work on India and the Orient, changed the image of India in European eyes. Maybe the name of Indira Gandhi sounds familiar for you, but you didn't have a clear idea who was the politician, the first and to date only female Prime Minister of India. And we will end with Dhirubhai Ambani, who was a successful Indian business tycoon who founded Reliance Industries. And today 50% of all India's exports go out in his company's name. Remarkable work of the Professor Sunil Kilnani, a book that will make men outside India understand this wonderful culture and the people who built it over the centuries. Men are bold, men are brave, men are strong in the face of fear. But what happens when that strength crumbles? Professionally, I'm Govna B, rapper, writer, broadcaster and mentor. But at home I'm Isaac, husband, father, son and brother. My heart is firmly established with my family and with God. As a man of faith, I have always felt the need to help other people. I see it as my God-given purpose to do good in this world. One of the most stifling of being manly was being told I was not allowed to cry ever. Men don't cry. If men are bold, if men are brave, if men are strong in the face of fear, what happens when that strength crumbles? Govna's B-book tells the story of a Ghanaian immigrant who grew up on a council estate in East London, in times when his mother suffered from anxiety and, on the other hand, raised by his father with Ghanaian values where men were not supposed to show emotional weakness. The men's style editor at Condé Nast Traveler, Matt Hranek, the author of A Man and His Watch, brings us a marvelous journey through some awesome garage, sharing the man's passion for cars. Because if there is something that a man loves more than a woman, will be his car. From South to Los Angeles to the Ford Museum in Detroit, the outskirts of the UK, the Peterson Museum in LA, the south of France, places where Matt traveled and seen to bring us lovely stories about cars and their owners. from Fiat to Alfa Romeo, giving him access to Steve McQueen's favorite car, a 1956 Jaguar XKSS, or for example the 1971 De Tomaso Pantera that Elvis purchased for his then girlfriend Linda Thompson, is what you will find in the book. Hey, tell me about this car. What's the significance? What's your emotional connection? The guy would launch into the story without hesitation, as if had been thinking about it for a very long time, which of course he surely had. Cars do that. You create a bond with them. He got so attached to the iconic Shelby Mustang. I remember those old issues of Road and Track, the images of Carroll Shelby standing with the Cobra, the GT40, the Mustang. Those were iconic images cars. You had to see in a magazine because you never see them in person. Franz von Holzhausen, chief designer at Tesla, who worked hand in hand with Elon Musk to design the Tesla Model S prototype, says that his love of cars started when he was 2, as evidenced by a picture of him sitting in a high chair drawing a car. I was born in New York, but grew up in a rural area of New England. It was an era when you could buy all cars for 20 bucks, 50 bucks. People just abandoned them. It was a more mechanic age. It was before Netflix, so you would find stuff to do. A Man and His Car. It's a book for men for which the passion for cars goes beyond the limit. As the author said, it's not about expensive cars, it's about passionate people with cars and stories that I selfishly like it. His Holiness the Dalai Lama was born on July 6, 1935, to a poor farming family in northeastern Tibet. At the age of 2, he was recognized as the Dalai Lama, the spiritual and temporal leader of Tibet. The 14th succession dating back 600 years. At age 6, he began his lifelong training as a Buddhist monk. Since 1959, he has lived in exile from Tibet in Dharamsala. When we help others, the focus of our mind assumes a broader horizon within, which we are able to see our own petty problems in a more realistic proportion. When you feel connected with others, you are able to open your heart. Dalai Lama's personal identity was most closely tied to his role as a simple Buddhist monk, one who rose each morning at 3:30 to spend 4 or 5 hours in prayer and meditation. Happy people are also healthier, with better immune function and less cardiovascular disease. There is even evidence that happy individuals live up to 10 years longer than their less happy peers. For 2,500 years, Buddhists have been practicing techniques to train the mind and develop their inner resources. I believe that the very purpose of our life is to seek happiness. Happiness is determined more by one's state of mind than by external events. So, the first step in seeking happiness is learning. We first have to learn how negative emotions and behaviors are harmful to us and how positive emotions are helpful. The ability to shift perspective, the capacity to view one's problem from different angles is nurtured by a supple quality of mind. Blockchain is the ingeniously simple technology that powers Bitcoin, but is much more than that too. It's a public ledger to which everyone has access, but which no single person controls. It allows for companies and individuals to collaborate with an unprecedented degree of trust and transparency. It's cryptographically secure, but fundamentally open, and soon it will be everywhere. In 2008, the global financial industry crashed. Perhaps propitiously a pseudonymous person or persons named Satoshi Nakamoto outlined a new protocol for a peer-to-peer electronic cash system using a cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. Cryptocurrencies are different from traditional fiat currencies because they are not created or controlled by countries. Big banks and some governments are implementing blockchains as distributed ledgers to revolutionize the way information is stored and transactions occur. Their goals are laudable: speed, lower cost, security, fewer errors, and the elimination of central points of attack and failure. These models don't necessarily involve a cryptocurrency for payments. However, the most important and far-reaching blockchains are based on Satoshi's Bitcoin model. Bitcoin or other digital currency isn't saved in a file somewhere. It's represented by transaction recorded in a blockchain, kind of like a global spreadsheet or ledger, which leverage the sources of a large peer-to-peer Bitcoin network to verify and approve each Bitcoin transaction. Each blockchain, like the one that uses Bitcoin, is distributed. It runs on computers provided by volunteers around the world. There is no central database to hack. Blockchain technologies will impact every form and function of the financial services industry, from retail banking and capital markets to accounting and regulation. The next era of the digital age is delivering unlimited possibilities, unknown roadblocks, and formidable challenges. Jonas shivered. He pictured his father, who must have been a shy and quiet boy, for he was a shy and quiet man, seated with his group, waiting to be called to the stage. The ceremony of 12 was the last of ceremonies, the most important. They were arranged by their original numbers, the numbers they had been given at birth. The numbers were rarely used after the naming, but each child knew his number, of course. Technically, Jonas' full number was 1119. Soon he will not be an 11, but a 12, and age will no longer matter. He will be an adult like his parents. Lily, her mother said fondly, "You're very close to being an 8, and when you're an 8, your comfort object will be taken away. It will be recycled to the younger children." The bicycle at 9 will be the powerful emblem of moving gradually out into the community, away from the protective family unit. The punishment used for small children was a regulate system of smacks with a discipline wand, a thin, flexible weapon that stung painfully when it was wielded. The childcare specialists were trained very carefully in the discipline methods. A quick smack across the hands for a bit of minor misbehavior, and 3 sharper smacks on the bare legs for a second offense. Think, it will seem a little easier if the memories were shared. You and I wouldn't have to bear so much by ourselves if everybody took a part. He returned each day to the annex room. The giver was gentle with him for many days following the terrible shared memory of war. "There are so many good memories," the giver reminded Jonas. And it was true. By now Jonas had experienced countless bits of happiness, things he had never known of before. He had seen a birthday party with one child singled out and celebrated on his day, so that now he understood the joy of being an individual, special and unique and proud. He had not taken the pills now for 4 weeks. The stirrings had returned, and he felt a little guilty and embarrassed about the pleasurable dreams that came to him.